Howdy, howdy, y'all. It is another I Am That episode 95. Accept life as it comes. Ooh, boy, so this is a good one. This is a really good one. Um, I can see why it would be later in the book, but this is just a good chapter. This is a really good chapter. There's some very memorable parts in this. I don't know if the part one was in in this book or not, because the questioner does say that they saw Maharaj, Sikra Maharaj, a year ago. So I don't know if this conversation. I think it is maybe because there was a. He mentioned. He said at some point he talked about the fruit ripening, which is like a reference to an some of the earlier conversations he's had with some folks where he talks about the fruit needs to ripen before it can fall. That's the sudden change. When the fruit finally ripens and is ready and all that, that's the sudden change. And then the ripening is kind of just the process to take for that to take place. Um, so that I find. So I don't know if it's one of those people that he's talking with or not. Could be very, like I said, very. There's some very interesting quotes from this. For example, um, actually, yeah, I found it here. So the questioner, I need time to collect my courage. Don't hustle me. And let me ripen for action. So which I think that's like a reference to that from before. But Ray Maharaj says the entire approach is wrong. Action delayed is action abandoned. There may be other chances for other actions, but the present moment is lost, irreversibly lost. All preparation is for the future. You cannot prepare for the present. And then he's the questioner, what's wrong with preparing for the future? Maharaj, acting in the now is not much helped by preparations. Clarity is now. Action is now. Thinking of being ready impedes action, and action is the touchstone of reality. Even questioner, even when we act without conviction? Maharaj, you cannot live without action, and behind each action there is some fear or desire. Ultimately, all you do is based on your conviction that the world is real and independent of yourself. Were you convinced of the contrary, your behavior would have been quite different. And then questioner, there's nothing wrong with my convictions. My actions are shaped by circumstances. Maharaj, in other words, you are convinced of reality of your circumstances, of the world in which you live. Trace the world to its source, and you will find that before the world was, you were, and when the world is no longer, you remain. Find your timeless being. Your action will bear it testimony. Did you find it? Questioner, no, I did not. Then what else have you to do? Surely this is the most urgent task. You cannot see yourself as independent of everything unless you drop everything and remain unsupported and undefined. Once you know yourself, it is immaterial what you do, but to realize your independence, you must test it by letting go all you are dependent on. The realized man lives on a level of absolutes. His wisdom, love, and courage are complete. There is nothing relative about him. Therefore, he must prove himself by tests more stringent, undergo trials more demanding, the tester, the tested, and the setup for testing all within. It is the inner drama too, which none can be a party. And so, like I said, and it keeps going. Yeah, like I said, that whole part I think was a very interesting part of the conversation, especially when he really goes. It's like when he talks about like oh, you don't realize yourself as as independent of the world and all that. And that's like the most important task. You cannot see yourself as independent of anything unless you drop everything and remain unsupported and undefined. Once you know yourself, it is immaterial what you do. But to realize your independence, you must test it by letting go of all you were dependent on. Like, it's very powerful. I mean, I think for me right now, especially, yeah, I think it feels very irrelevant for my own life. But I think that's something about that sort of timeless wisdom is that when it hits you, it's always going to feel like the perfect time because it always is the perfect time. That's what he's talking about. Now is the moment. Now, act in the now. That's why it always feels like, oh man, I gotta act and do that. Exactly, because you're supposed to. You know. So that's what I love about it. Um, this was a really really good chapter. I'm trying to think of some other points. I really don't want to. It's a lot shorter. I feel. Let me check something real quick. Yeah, I feel like it's a lot shorter. Yeah, let's see. It's like half a view. So a half, one, two, three, four, five and a half. Okay, it's not that short, but it just felt there's something about it. It feels very condensed, but very powerful. Very interesting too. That this guy at the beginning he was talking about he has some property in America, wants to sell it, move to Himalayas, and Maharaj is just like, no, dude, don't do this. Just live your life, man. Essentially, and so I'm. And so the question is: destiny the same as grace? Maharaj, absolutely. Accept life as it comes, and you will find it a blessing. Questioner, I can't accept my own life. How can I accept the sort of life others are compelled to live? Maharaj, you are accepting it anyhow. The sorrows of others do not interfere with your pleasures. If you were really compassionate, you would have abandoned long ago all self concern and entered a state of which alone you can really help. Question. Questioner, if I have a big house and enough land, I may create an ashram with individual rooms, common meditation hall, canteen, library, office, and so on. And this is what I found. I found this response very interesting from Maharaj because it kind of I had a suspicion that this is how ashrams would be formed, just because of the nature of what they are. It just made sense, and so he kind of confirmed it for me. Astroms are not made, they happen. You cannot start nor prevent them, as you cannot start or stop a river. Too many factors are involved in the creation of a successful astrum, and your inner maturity is only one of them. Of course, if you are ignorant of your real being, whatever you do must turn to ashes. You cannot intimidate a guru and get away with it. All hypocrisy will end in disaster. And so he's essentially saying, like, you need to realize yourself first. And I think that's throughout the entire chapter. He keeps saying that's the theme over and over again. This guy has really good intentions. You can tell he has really good intentions. He wants to help the world. I know a lot of people like this. I'm kind of like this, you know. I like to think a lot of people are just earnest, good folks like this who do want to help the world if they can, who really, if they can, make a difference. And Maharaj is kind of pointing out, like, well, that's because you're not. The problem is, you first need to help yourself, and by helping yourself, you need to realize you're fully realize what you actually even are, and then your whole circumstances of life and what this whole life thing is, what this whole existence thing is, completely fundamentally different, and you no longer limit yourself because that's the problem, you know. You're with these folks, you know, with and probably myself too. I think haven't gotten quite there. I want to say. I mean, maybe I don't know. It's hard to say. I feel I don't know. All I know is I do at least on the intellectual level for sure understand and accept that what Maharaj's lessons have been. It's just about actually living it and accepting it and being it, right? This conversation, like I said, though, very good conversation. I really liked it. Um, just a it's a very real conversation. It feels. He's really encouraging you, like, hey, get to it. Don't dilly dally. Just get to it. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate things. Just get to it. Which is something, especially for someone like me, I need to hear stuff like that because I am an overcomplicator. If I let myself. So I don't want. I think I will leave it on the last a little bit of a back and forth here. Um, Questioner: Crucifixion, death, and resurrection. We are on a familiar ground. I have read, heard, and talked about it endlessly, but I find myself incapable to do it. Maharaj: Keep quiet, undisturbed, and the wisdom and the power will come on their own. You need not hanker. Wait in silence of the heart and mind. It is very easy to be quiet, but willingness is rare. You people want to become supermen overnight. Stay without ambition, without the least desire, exposed, vulnerable, unprotected, uncertain, and alone, completely open to and welcoming life as it happens, without the selfish conviction that all must yield you pleasure or profit, material or so on, or so called spiritual. That part, right? I respond to what you say, but I just do not see how it is done. If Maharaj, if you know how to do it, you will not do it. Abandon every attempt. Just be. Don't strive. Don't struggle. Let go every support. Hold on to the blind sense of being, brushing off all else. This is enough. Questioner: How is this brushing off done? The more I brush off, the more it comes to the surface. Maharaj: Refuse attention. Let things come and go. Desires and thoughts are also things. Discard them. Since time immemorial, the dust of events are covering the clear mirror of your mind, so that you could only see memories. Brush off the dust before it has time to settle. This will lay bare the old layers until the true nature of your mind is discovered. It is all very simple and comparatively easy. Be earnest and patient, that is all. Dispassion, detachment, freedom from desire and fear, from all self-concern, mere awareness, free from memory and expectation. This is the state of mind to which discovery can happen. After all, liberation is but the freedom to discover. I love that. Liberation is but the freedom to discover. But like you said, so even with the so-called, the so-called spiritual, like the fake spiritual, you know, because remember at the time this was especially new age. Just there's people that claim spirituality, but are really just about they're still about pleasure. They're still ultimately chasing pleasure, and I think that's the sort of spirituality he's talking about. He's not talking about like when you're just actually connecting yourself to the group, wider universe, and trying to also look inside with yourself. That's the sort of he would say like, yeah, call that what you want. But I know what he means by so-called spirituality. Yeah, he definitely means kind of like that, the sort where you're still ultimately is still about chasing desires. So got to abandon that. Don't pay attention. It's not you. You are not desires. They're just things that rush through you. It's dust to be brushed off. So, like I said, this very brilliant chapter. I loved it. It's a good chapter. Um, yeah, I think that's all I can have to say. It's a classic, just like this book. So I want to say Hare Krishna, Namaste, and peace be upon all y'all. Hope you all have an excellent day.